Hey, Hugh Foster on the bass here. Time to kick off the new year with a new quick click. But before we break this one down, just a quick note to say that the backing track and the PDF for this video and all my other original tutorial videos are available for pentatonic patrons and above on my Patreon. Go check it out. Also, I'm recording this in January 2025, so if your New Year's resolution is to improve your bass playing, for the entire month of January, I'm doing a promotion 15% off for new subscribers, link in the description below. I've called this one Vamp Vocab, the reason being, say you're in the situation where there's a dominant chord vamp at a jam session, wherever, and you find yourself running out of ideas. This isn't gonna solve that entirely for you, but it might give you some ideas to work on. What I'll also do after I've broken down the bass line is to show you the theory I'm using and how that might help you in creating your own lines. So before we break down the theory, let's just hear it a little bit slower. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what are some of the devices I'm using this? Devices seems like a very formal word for what's going on. I'm doing that classic thing of, hitting the one, the sort of funk formula, the Bootsy Collins funk formula. Hit the one and everything else kind of, you can do what you want after that. But if you hit the one, everything kind of really makes sense. Generally speaking, the phrase every other bar is... So I'm going from B flat, the key in this one, I'm thinking B flat dominant, B flat mixolydian. I'll get into more detail on that later. And I'm basically hitting the one, sliding off, and then sliding all the way up to the flat 7, which is, the integral part of a B flat dominant 7 chord. Right? That's how you might voice it on the bass, where you've got limited space, limited amount of strings. So, right, and that's the main thing that we're going to be doing. Another note as well, do you see this little thing going on up here? That means we're doing a 16th note swing. So 16th note swing is where all the 16th notes have got that shuffly feel. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and. That first line, just playing that is fun on its own. I thought that was a really good way to kind of really stretch out the fretboard. The second part of the phrase, mixing it up a little bit, starting with a slide from the root down to that flat 7. And then we do the same, slide up, and then we go to the 5th and the 6th of B flat. So that's F and G. And we do just one pluck of the string there, and the rest is all hammer-ons and pull-offs. All right, those first two bars. 1, 2. And I think just getting the hang of that will give you a lot of mileage. But yeah, if you're new to this, just focus on that. But if you want to stretch things out a little bit, let's look at the next couple of bars. Bar 3 starts in the same way as bar 1. We're keeping consistent here. And then bar 4, I'm thinking like starting the same way as bar 2, but add in a little fill. Okay, that phrase continues on into the next bar. What's going on there is a use of the major blues scale. And what I'll do is just quickly go over to the next page to show you what I mean by that. I also like to think of it as the Stevie Wonder blues scale, because it's the one that he uses in everything. In this case, we're in B flat, so let's get back into that mindset. It is essentially a 6-note scale. If we're playing one octave, it could be that. So root, second, flat third, third, fifth, sixth, root, right? And it's essentially an inversion of a G minor blues, right? But you're thinking of B flat as the root note, hence it's the relative major and minor. I have gone into this in detail in other videos, but if you're not sure, leave me a comment and I'll expand on that. This scale provides a lot of mileage because you've got that flat third to natural third thing going on. And that's really fun for, some improvised licks. And that's what I'm using in the fill that goes on in this bar. 1, 2. Right? A few notes on why I decided to phrase it like that. I think rhythmic repetition is really good for building lines. So I've got that ba-da-dup, ba-da-dup, repeating that 3-note phrase, but with different note choices is really good for, building lines, kind of creating interest. You're not just going up and down a scale. Even though I am literally just ascending the notes of the scale, I'm adding a little more rhythmic interest there, right? And at the end there, what I decided to do here was actually, so I go up here, and then a little shift onto the little finger on the note we've just played, the B flat on the D string, the 8th fret. And then actually at speed, because those 16th note triplets are tough, that's going to be a lot easier to play because in your right hand, you can rely on a rake to get you back to the B flat at the end of that phrase at the start of the next bar. Right. See what I mean? 4 more bars to go. And yeah, the next bar, return of that phrase, and then it's we're back on level ground here, right? However, for the last couple of bars, I've decided to write a line that goes across the bars, so it's something a little more stretching out and uses most of the B flat major blues scale, but it incorporates some other stuff which I'll get into in a second. So let's hear that on its own. These are the last 2 bars here. 3, 4. Heavily syncopated at the end, and using the sort of that kind of thing to kick us off, right? So we could just think of that as its own phrase. And, just break it up there. But it does continue beyond that. And what happens here is a nice little, practical way of getting down the fretboard. So a similar thing to what we did in the earlier improvised phrase. Well, I say improvised, but, suggested line, where we do a hammer on from the minor third to the major third up to the 5th, and then jump down to the 2nd and slide down to the 1st. All right, so that's just a nice line on its own. Okay, and then beyond that we just keep going. Another pull off from the 6th to the 5th. This is all using the major blues still. And then again, the lower octave of that minor third to major third to the 5th, and then a heavy bit of 16th note syncopation where we're landing on the 4E, right? Let's just hear it one more time. 3, 4. Okay. So yeah, that's a nice little line there. Let's look at another suggestion of a scale that we can actually rely on here. We've got the Mixolydian mode, which is sometimes, I think, a little bit unfairly referred to as the dad blues scale. right? The joke is that you'll hear, a dad who's playing blues guitar going like, yeah, I can improvise. And just kind of just prattling about with that scale. But, the thing to do with scales, arpeggios, modes, all of these things is to combine them. That's the way to make really interesting lines, okay? So the B-flat major blues and the B-flat mixolydian, they're really, really close to one another. The blues has got the major and the minor third, but it doesn't have the flat 7, right? And let's just hear that scale as the way I've suggested it here. What I do suggest with any scale or mode is to be able to play it 2 octaves as a sort of minimum to kind of get around the fretboard, because on a 4-string bass you run out of strings pretty quickly if you don't shift. And what I've written out on the tab here is a suggested way up and down, but you don't have to stick to that. You could go, further up on the E string initially. Just really get comfortable with all the ways up and down. You don't have to go. You don't have to go down the same way. Like I ended up doing a lot of descending on the G there. But yeah, getting comfortable even just on one string. Until you run out of room is also very useful as well. So what I do suggest, if you do download the PDFs of this, and thank you for your support if you do, is to check out the scale grids that are here. And all I've done is gone up to the 15th fret, just because that's, a high octave of the B flat. It's the second octave if you're starting down here. But there will be more notes available if you do go higher on, say the A and D strings. But yeah, I didn't want to make that too long and kind of overwhelming if that kind of thing is new to you. Anyway, like I said, this is a quick click. I didn't want to spend too long going through all the theory in this one, but do let me know if you have any questions about any of the theory that I've covered. And don't forget, you can get the PDF, the backing track for this and all my other original video lessons on my Patreon. That's patreon.com/Hugh Foster. I'm going to leave it there for today. I hope you get on well with this one. Let me know how you do get on, and I'll see you guys next time.